to me is like you just build that internal fire. Right? Like it's that fire to succeed. It's that fire to get where you want to be. But it's also then that fire says like, I'm never going back.
All right. Welcome back. Mortgage Daddies. Take 2.
So good to be here. Friend of the pod, longtime fan of the pod. Just fired up to be here. This is going to be great.
Do you remember everything you said last time?
I remember nothing. I thought about that before. I was like,
Same.
you know, nothing.
We had a great episode.
Yeah,
We actually went to go back to listen to it, but there was no sound, so we had to have you back on for a second shooting.
I love it.
Which is, you know what, even better.
I love
the second one's going to be much better.
I'm a fan of the pod. The first 2-time, one time aired, 2-time appearance.
It is true.
I'm fired up.
This has never happened before. You're special.
Special guest, Jeff Pelletier, Junior
day.
Achievement.
Good day on Mortgage Days.
I'm
excited for this.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What's the background on Jeff Pelletier?
Yeah.
Tell the audience.
Yeah.
Millions of viewers are watching worldwide.
We probably have a few more viewers since the last
Yeah,
time
this is great. I know. I feel like it's going to work out better.
This is much better for you.
Well, the 9 views that we had on our last one,
and those are
7
all me.
of them were from Jeff. The other 2 are our daughters.
Those are me. I've been liking and sharing, and
I love it.
I love it. I love everything you guys always do, and super excited to be here. And again, part of why I'm here is the partnership that we've built here in the community, and so for me, I'm from here. I grew up in New Bedford. Went to school in North Carolina for college, and after college, I my sense was always like, what do you want to do, right? How do you build a life that you're excited about, that you're fired up about, that it's never like, oh, it's Monday tomorrow, or like the Sunday scaries, or maybe you could get like Sunday shivers, but you don't want it to be like too scary because then it's like,
I used to hate going to school.
Yeah, right. Because then you're literally like, I do not even want whatever's happening tomorrow. Like I wish it wasn't happening, right?
Tomorrow.
Like, yeah, right. And so I never wanted that. And so like my thing was always like, what do I want to do? How do I think I might be able to do anything valuable? And for me, that was always like giving back, right? Getting involved, even if I had like no or limited skills at anything. I'm like, how do I give back? How do I get involved? And that was just how kind of my career path started. I got involved with an organization called Executives Without Borders, which started out of Harvard Business School in Boston. I, on a whim, was able to connect with their CEO, Bob Goodwin, an amazing mentor and friend to me. I started off as a volunteer. Right before I was about to leave to Honduras for a volunteer engagement, I shared with him like, hey, I'm quitting my job and coming to work for you. Like there was no position. They weren't hired. Like I was like, I will like find a way to fundraise, or like don't even pay me, but I'm just gonna like show up. Like you have to take me because I'm just gonna show up. Like I'm leaving.
One way to do it.
Like I'm leaving my job when I get back from Honduras. Like I'm just gonna work for you. I think I'll be good at this. I want to try it. I'm passionate about it. So went off to Honduras for 3 months. Came back. Ended up working with Executives Without Borders for a couple of years. Did a ton of work in Haiti. Really spent a good amount of time over a couple of years in Haiti. Was doing a lot of work in Honduras, and then came back here, just wanted to kind of get involved, started joining some boards, started volunteering. I was a volunteer for Junior Achievement, actually teaching a class at Keith Middle School in New Bedford. I got on the board at JA, which is where I first, really kind of met Vern, and Vern had been a board member for a while there, and so got to know the team, got to know the mission, and then, just about 8 years later, been running JA, and so love it every day.
I'm probably going to take some heat for this by a lot of our nonprofits that watch us. And we've had Michelle, and I've been a part of a lot of nonprofits. Craig does a lot of work in the community. But Junior Achievement has been one of the nonprofits with a mission statement that I really get behind year over year. I've been associated with Junior Achievement. I just thought of that when you said that. This is the 3rd president we've had at Junior Achievement since I've been there, from Joe Parisi to Caroline, now to yourself. And I was just thinking, I'm like, it's 2024. I started with the bank in 99. I think I started volunteering in 99, 2000. Mandatory at the bank, you were allowed to get paid to go volunteer in a classroom. So I was like, check, it's like going to school, right? Like I get to go have fun for an hour and hang out with a bunch of kids, whatever. I'm a child anyway, still at 45 years old. But I've been on that board now. It's got to be 20 years, at least 20 years. And as even my time gets reduced and, I don't have much time to do that, I still feel really strongly about the mission and the things that Junior Achievement does. I think it's important to teach financial literacy into our classrooms. Just to touch upon some of that stuff is, tell us a little bit about Junior Achievement, the day in and day out, right? Everybody hears financial literacy, but do they really understand what exactly Junior Achievement does? Maybe cover the age groups, because that's one of the things that I'm pretty passionate about.
Yeah. And again, like, we're so lucky to have board members like you and leaders like you, and look where the organization's gone in those 20 years. And I am going to take those comments on camera as a renewal of your board terms too. And so, like, look what we're going to do. Look what we're going to do together in the next 5 years. It's going to be great. And so this is documented. This is wonderful. So Junior Achievement of Southern Massachusetts, right? We are a part of the Junior Achievement universe. So it's actually started in Springfield, Massachusetts, by a man named Horace Moses and some senators at the time in 1919. So JA was founded in Massachusetts in 1919. Now it's all over the globe, all over the world, and then all across the country as well. And so we, Junior Achievement of Southern Massachusetts, we're the local chapter. So we're our own standalone 501c3 nonprofit, but we're part of this kind of universe of global impact as well. And so we cover all of Bristol County, all of the Cape and the islands now, and then parts of Plymouth County as well. So we've got a big footprint. We're headquartered right here in downtown New Bedford. And then, as Vern was saying, I mean, what's kind of neat is our mission is really just to empower young people to go ahead and achieve their goals, right? And so that's what we do. Now, we do that work in a variety of ways. We work all the way starting in pre-kindergarten classrooms all across the region, all the way now through up to working with young people that are as old as 24 years old. And so that whole span from pre-K really to the beginnings of your career, all across that geographical footprint, just working to inspire and prepare young people to be successful. So we go into local schools, and so the team at Milestone Mortgage Solutions is always the best, such an amazing supporter of Junior Achievement. So you had team members in Atlantis Charter School about 3 weeks ago as part of one of our JA days there. So we actually kind of like take over a school for the day. It's kind of like a reverse field trip, right? So we come in, it's super fun. Each grade program, everything from K to 12, has its own specific curriculum program, but it's designed for business leaders like the team at Milestone to come in and volunteer and teach that curriculum, right? So it's curriculum, it's activities, it's really hands-on and engaging, but it's built, for leaders to come in, because then you don't just do the curriculum, you share your own stories and experiences as well, right? Rachel's in that classroom, not just sharing, hey, here's the third grade curriculum, here's these different financial literacy, different techniques we're learning, but, hey, I work at a company, Milestone Mortgage Solutions, right? We're out here in the community. This is what this really looks like in the real world. So it's kind of that cool blend between curriculum and like what's happening in the real world. Like, remember being in school, it's always like, oh, but like, why does this matter?
Kind of gets them excited a little bit about like the relevance of it.
Yeah, and you just connect it back to your local community. So we're in local schools. We do a huge program for high school students, the JA Titan Business Challenge, which Vern was just a founding father of that program, a founding father. 12th annual Titan Challenge this year, UMass Dartmouth, which is great. We kind of take over the UMass Dartmouth library for the day. It's usually over 250. Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, you've been there. The team at Milestone has always supported that and been there. But we'll have like 250 high school students from all across the region. They do a business competition all day. You get to hear from leaders, like make really neat connections. We'll give out this year, I think we'll give out over $8,000 in scholarship awards that day. So it's also like, you leave behind with a chance to make even like a higher education more feasible. And then we've got the JA Company program, which is a really neat program that Vern was a big piece of helping us get off the ground too, where like high school students start their own businesses. So like right now today, high school students at New Bedford High, Durfee, Whaling City Alternative School in New Bedford, Taunton High School, Taunton Alternative High School, students in all those high schools are literally building their own businesses through JA. That's like awesome. Legit, like we fund them
selling
with
a product.
Like selling, awesome. Like we create a bank account. So Bristol County Savings Bank partners with us on that. We have bank accounts for all those companies there. We give them $500 of seed money, and they run their companies. right? So like they're actually like sourcing products, they're actually having sales. If they profit, we pay them out. So it can almost be a little side hustle, right, for them. And we do our workforce development programs now too, which Vern was a huge part of, and the partnership that we've made with Changemakers Network, which is working with that 16 to 24-year-old age group and getting young people into, if you've dropped out of school, helping young people get their GED and high set, get back on track. We help people get jobs and employment. We help people get into career training programs. We help connect people with housing and food resources if they need that social safety net. Yeah. And so we also are able to work at that older age group now too, in just really, really impactful ways. And even just there, work with young people who, when we started them, they were homeless, and now they're in, serious paying jobs. And I'm like, what's your hourly rate? Like, what's going, like, amazing. And so it's just that kind of whole ecosystem of impact. But that's possible because we have so many amazing partners like Milestone Mortgage and leaders like Vern, who's just been, a bedrock of the organization for more than 20 years now.
Just for the record, Jeff Pelletier loves to thank people and give them praise more than anybody else. So if we don't talk about everything that I've done, we'll be all right on this episode.
Thank you, Vern. That was really nice of you. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
He is the most thankful, polite person I've ever met in my life. I joke around with him all the time. And, Jeff, I think that's one of the big things that draws, donors and people to you. In regards to Changemakers, I know that that's one of the new kind of initiatives that you've kind of partnered up with Junior Achievement, brought that under the umbrella. I've referred over, young adults looking to go into college and, maybe they don't have the best direction at home. But that's one of the aspects that Changemakers can really help them with is filling out financial aid paperwork or just kind of mentoring them on the next steps and preparing them to go off onto college. Like a lot of people, in every community across the nation, they don't have somebody that's already done it, right? These are a lot of kids nowadays are going to be the first generation. And they're really scared. I think Changemakers kind of bridges that gap the best that they possibly can on, just kind of helping these kids prepare themselves, set the expectation of what that freshman year looks like, and filling out the financial aid paperwork and reassuring them that they can do this. And, they're making a good move in their life.
Yeah, but so like in the whole kind of founding basis there, right? Think about kind of like from an age perspective, right? Like the needs that you might have for support and the resources that exist, right? So like go K to 12, right? You certainly have needs and things, but for the most part, right, you're in a school system, you've got all this universe of support, right, in every different way. And then you get to that age of like you're graduating high school or you've gotten dislocated from the school system one way or the other. Now you have like exponential needs in that whole universe of support. In many cases, is dramatically reduced or falls away entirely. Yeah. And so how do I apply for a job here? And how do I get ready for that from A to Z, from resume writing to getting some credentials that you can even get, for cheap and online to really bolster yourself, clothing, support with clothing, with interview techniques, interview skills, how to do a Zoom interview if you need internet connections and hardware pieces, right? And not to mention on the education side, right? Filling out applications for financial aid, for scholarships, even like strategizing even before that, like, hey, what do you want to do and what's even the right pathway to get you there, right? Because sometimes there's probably better options than spending 120 grand for an undecided, right? An undecided degree. If you're like, oh, I actually like, love doing this stuff with my hands, and I could be a plumber, and right. And start making 100 grand,
and make more money than going to school and coming out with
if that's what you like if that's what you want to do. And so it was for us kind of thinking about the universe of JA and all the impact they're able to create in the school system, also trying to, and that's why I think it works so well together, because it's bringing that same kind of continuum of resources and opportunities where that school or other community structure or family or whatever the situation may be doesn't exist, so that like in those really critical times for a young person, you can then surge in resources. We can get you job ready, get you career ready, enhance your skills, move your education forward. And in some cases too, connection to like really vital resources. We've dealt with, connecting young people to shelters, in times of need, and food resources and clothing and basic needs. And for us, at JA, I think that's a really, exciting space that we can play in, because now we can do both, right? We can be in the schools and kind of driving impact there, but then also be doing this really neat, I think, transformational out of school work too, because now we can really serve
Is that
all
new
youth.
for you guys?
It is, yeah. So we've just been on that road about the last year or so, really bringing the work of Changemakers Network, a separate organization that I had founded within the JA family now, because now you get kind of the best of both worlds. If you have like a proven track record, a proven brand, a lot of those capabilities with some of the innovation that you only get from a startup. Right? That you only get, like, if you're looking at a white piece of paper and saying, like, this is a problem, how do we attack this? Sometimes you need that paper to be white when you start.
Blank.
Yeah, like you need that, because that gives you that thought and that space to really, I think, challenge yourself and also get out of the day to day, right? Like sometimes, and I'm always trying to balance this, right? You're so focused on tactical day to day stuff that it can be hard to sit back and be like, if I wanted to start this whole thing over, right? How would I go about that? What would I do? What would I change? And so that was what was neat about founding Changemakers Network. But now that they're together, I just think it's kind of it's a neat thing for the community, and I love JA, and so I'm thrilled about how it all worked out.
I think one of the things that sets you apart as a leader, not to blow up your ego here, but you bring that business sense, like almost like an entrepreneur, with the passion of being, into that nonprofit space, along with that deep passion of helping people grow, bring themselves up. We don't have that a lot, right? You don't find that a lot in the community. Myself, right? Like, you're an entrepreneur. We need to go make money. We need to do this. You bring kind of all that together to try to put it all together to help the community. And, I just think back, we had Michelle Hampman on from United Way. It's amazing to me that I've known Michelle a number of years, 10, 15 years. I'm not even sure. I've known you, as long as you've been on with Junior Achievement. And it always blows my mind if I'm sitting in a board meeting with the group, or you're on a podcast, or we're passing in the halls, of how many resources are out there. That Junior Achievement offers. United Way. She was in here. She was talking about some things that they're doing.
It's amazing what they do. It's incredible.
You guys do this?
It's incredible how much it's fun. I've told her and the team that so many times too, and that particularly with United Way. Like, I am so by the time I've read about this amazing initiative you have, I can't even believe there's now a next new initiative.
They're just rolling it out.
It's incredible. Yeah,
and how nimble that the organizations like United Way or Junior Achievement that have been around for so long, how nimble they are, right? Like, coming from us running a company, we're not even that nimble, right? Like, I remember that blank piece of paper. Yeah, you're nimble. You want to change something, you change it on a dime. Now you have to think about 40, 50 people.
Yeah.
You guys are running big organizations that affect a lot of people. You have 250 kids at the Titan Challenge. How many kids do you guys go through a classroom in a given year, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, in a given year, anywhere 5,000-7,000 students is what we'll be in front of over the course of a year. So
it's just amazing the amount of good that all the nonprofits are doing just on the South Coast here, and the special leaders it takes to run these nonprofits, and just the passion behind it. It's overwhelming sometimes to see how passionate you are talking about change makers and Junior Achievement, just seeing where it's come from.
Yeah,
since you've kind of taken it over from, not just the financial side of it, but like the growth of the different programs and how it's evolved, right? I mean, I remember, doing the bowling thing, right? We had some good nights on the bowling thing. I'm not sure Jeff wants to talk about some of those nights.
But those are. I've got
to raise money somehow.
Those are good nights. Those are good nights.
But just changing up some of those and evolving into the Titan Challenge, evolving into some of the other different events that you guys are doing. Do you have anything on the horizon that's pretty exciting coming up? Anything new you want to share?
Well, yeah. I mean, so we've got two big things. One is, of course, the JA Titan Business Challenge, and we're really trying to build that out even further this year. It's the 12th year we've done it. We're expecting a huge crowd. We even have Rachel from the team on our committee now.
Oh, nice.
for the Titan Challenge, and so we're trying to really bring in some new people, bring in some new volunteers, bring in some new speakers, new sponsors. And just kind of keep growing that. because the other big thing we have too in the spring every year is we do a pitch competition at UMass Dartmouth as well for the JA company program, right? Which is super cool. All these students from all across the region are building these companies. They come in, they pitch in front of judges. There's a chance that some of our local companies could even end up in Atlanta for the national competition, and so just like a bunch of like cool stuff. And as Vern was saying, like for the organization, because of leaders and partners like you all, it has been that growth and that trend. But the mindset for us is always very like business, like a business mindset and an entrepreneurial mindset, like internally to grow, right? Because I just think of you both and
Yeah,
what
and
you've built here.
I don't think that's something like in school that they really teach or even tell you like it's an option. You
Yeah.
know, like when I was going through school, I didn't know really what I wanted to do necessarily. I was like, my dad's an engineer, maybe I want to go do that. I like math. Okay, maybe go do something like that. But then wasn't really super into it when I was finishing up high school, so I kind of just fell into the EMS first responder thing, became a paramedic, became a firefighter, and then, I kind of fell into this with Vernon. I'm like, like this is what I was really meant to do. Like,
Yeah.
how come I never, even thought about doing something
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
earlier in my career? Because I don't know, you think business, some people think like sales, and then people think like car, like there's so many other avenues and there's so much money to be made in ways that, you don't have to necessarily be the smartest person in your school to be very successful in sales. And I think, getting that message out to some of these kids and kind of showing them, hey, listen, there's a lot of options in business that you can make a lot of money, have a very successful career, and maybe, not have to go to college a certain way or
Yeah.
not have to spend $1 billion going to college. You don't have to go be a lawyer. You don't have to go do this. There's a lot of money and there's a lot of opportunity out there for people that, I never really realized when I was that age.
Yep.
And then I got put into something. I'm like, this is really what I was meant to do because this fit my personality. This fit what I like to do. And it was a little bit of a blend of everything where that was never like told to us. It was like, do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a nurse? Or do you want to be like an engineer? It's like, those are your options pretty much. And there was no like business side of it. I went to Dartmouth High and there was like an entrepreneur class. I remember kids kind of running a similar program. I wasn't in it, but I remember kind of kids running a similar thing where they all, came up with stuff or they sold some stuff. But I think it's great that you guys are doing that in a lot of the schools and kind of getting that out there to these kids that probably don't necessarily have those options.
Yeah, and like you said too, and I love how you said this too, Craig. I mean, so much of that does come down to the mindset piece too, right? And I think about the journey, like okay, the JA journey. It's been amazing, and Vern's been there before me, and still now, right? We're on this really neat kind of 2-decade journey. But I think about the journey that Milestone Mortgage Solutions has been on, which I've been lucky enough to have like a front row seat to it from the beginnings. I remember some of that, and like in what you both have done and what the team here has done, like that mindset. Like I love how you said it, of like, you don't even have to necessarily be the best in the world at something, but do you want it more than anybody else? Right? Is that hunger there? Is that like, do you want it more? Are you willing to kind of imagine something that doesn't exist yet, that's out there further and faster than where you are right now, and then just be willing to just pay that price to get there? Because,
I'm a true believer that there's so many better ways to go about it to build a successful life and career than just going to college necessarily when you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
If there's perfectly good reasons as to why you should go to college if you want to do certain things. But if you're not sure, go get into some type of a job that you have some interest in. Get, even if you don't need to make a lot of money when you're 18 years old coming out of college, get under something, see if you like it, give it a try, get mentored by somebody. Before you know it, you're making way more money than the kids that went to college and have all these bills. And look at me. I mean, I never went to college. I never spent a single day in college. I got to a position in my life where I make more money in a month than I ever made in a year as a firefighter.
Sure.
And I never thought that would happen. You get stuck in just such a tunnel vision. And I was like, and everybody at the fire station, it was, well, either you're going to do this or you're going to go do a trade. It's one or the other, kind of like this mindset. Like, you're going to go swing a hammer or you're going to go work on an ambulance. It's like a second job. I'm like, I want to do something different.
Yeah.
I want something that's a little more challenging, because I hit these goals that I had, coming out of high school, to go to EMT school, go to paramedic school, become a firefighter. And then I'm like, all right, I'm bored.
Now what?
Now
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit to realize that, because you have these goals, you don't really realize it. But I'm like, if I could have started this even earlier, or maybe it was something different. And you sit back, you're like, there's so many kids that I think would be in a position where if they would have just jumped out into it right away, instead they kind of waste years, you know, and waste money too, you know, in my
I think
opinion.
just going to do something like life experience, right? Like
It's
you
very
said,
important.
blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to Guatemala. I'm going to Honduras.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do these things. You're going to get that life experience, right? That's something you can't take away. Craig would not be, he's probably going to be mad at me for saying this. He would not be who he is today or how successful he is today without going through the pain of, and at the time it
No,
wasn't
it's
pain,
true, yeah.
EMS, firefighter,
Yeah.
because I feel like the people who just get into, I can only talk about the mortgage business,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
haven't really had a lot of other experiences in the workplace. The people who just come into it and it's like their first or second job and they really didn't get vested and
Yeah.
beat on in another career or another job, they make a little bit of money and they think this is normal and then they fizzle out, right? Because they miss that working 24 hours shifts nonstop, going home to a family, dealing with that, another 24-hour shift, right? Like that real hustle, bustle, getting the shit kicked out of you. And then you come into a position where I don't have to swing a hammer. I'm not, doing a lot of
I'm
real
not
manual
picking somebody
labor.
up that weighs 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you want me to work 40 hours in an office with air conditioning and you're going to pay
And
me?
heat.
Like,
And
this-
heat.
Yeah.
And heat,
And we
right?
have
Like,
heat. My
I look at-
toes
But, like-
used to be frozen in the winter. We running calls.
I mean, it's wild and how lucky I look at it that way. Like, how lucky am I to be able to come into air conditioning, heat, things we take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't see the path that I took between 18 and 26 when I got into this, 25, of number of different jobs, working here, working there, and be like, that's not for me. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that
Yeah.
overnight manual labor stuff, not for me.
Yeah.
Dabbled in banking, before I got into mortgage business, but the retail career, I had like a 2-year stint in retail. Up until that point, I did not have, I didn't know anything about retail, right? I just walked by the people at the grocery store or the CVS's of the world or people at the mall. Now I walk by and I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you
never
for being
wanted to do
here.
that.
Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
Same
I
thing
wish
with
I could.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Because of my first job.
I overtip
My
at
mom.
every restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't care what the bill is. I'm not going to get into it, but they're getting more than 25%. Like, that's 100% because there's no way I could do their job.
Yeah.
Like, I look at it and I'm like, you guys are the true heroes here, right? Like, those guys work in retail on Thanksgiving Day,
This
Christmas
time of year,
Eve.
right?
It's wild to me. And then I remember being in that situation and I was already like an adult when I had to get into retail because I was getting into the mortgage business. So there's that period of time where you're like, I have a family and bills. I have to have 2 jobs. So I'm working 40, 50 hours at each one of these. And then now I think it's helped groom who we are today. It's like, I'm not going back to that, right? Like, I'm not working 80, 90 hours. So
That-
give me my 45 hours in the air
100%.
conditioning and
Yeah.
heat and behind a desk, talking to people on helping them achieve the American dream of home
I
ownership.
think the life experience side of it helps people mature too quicker. I always felt like I didn't go into college right away at all, actually. But, so I wasn't around those 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids for very long. I got out of high school and I started working with high 20s, 30s, 40s, 50-year-old guys and girls all the time. And that's what I continued. So, my life experiences or the conversations I had or the people I'm dealing with were much, much different when I hit 24, 25, or when I started here, 26, 27.
Yeah, 26.
When I hit that point, the people that I have been around and the experience I've had would have been or 100% way different than if I would have went to college, started some entry-level job with a bunch of entry-level kids. And, I just feel like I would have never matured to the person that I was or had those life experiences, which helped me in this career way more than probably what it would have been if it was the other way.
Yeah. And and the thing I love too about like both of those stories, and it's shared for me as well, to me is like you just build that internal fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's that fire to succeed. It's that fire to get where you want to be, but it's also then that fire says like I'm never going back. Right?
No chance.
Like I'm never going
And you can't
like,
be
I'm not
too
going
scared to
backwards.
take that chance.
You have to.
Like there's too many people. I think the culture, if you have a good job, like what's a good job? You
Yeah.
know, a union contractor is a great job. It's a good job, but is that what everybody wants to do? Or, a fire department is a great job for some people, but is that what you want to do forever?
Mhm.
You know,
Is that your passion?
Yeah,
that's what it
there,
comes down
there
to.
was
Is
plenty
that
of
your
people
why?
that was like they would talk about it and they were passionate like I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
And they would talk about it and they'd be so excited they want to do trainings and I'm like, this ain't for me. Like I
shit's
like
almost
it,
over.
but you know, it's like it's cool. I like it, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't love it. My brother loves it.
Yeah.
He's the one who got me into it. He loves it. It's all he talks about. It's all he ever wants to talk about. All of his friends are like that. I'm like, I just never fit in with that crew.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't. You know, I thought it was. You know, I thought maybe when I went to a full-time department, it'd be a little bit different. Nope, same thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys like.
It's
I
just
don't
a
get it.
different
You know, it's
mindset,
different.
right? And it's perfect for other people. Like my brother works. He works in the union, building airplane parts. Right? Awesome. Like he loves it. That just I could never see myself after going through it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you have to go through it, even if it's only for 90 days. I like to tell everybody, give it 90 days. If you don't like it, move on. Don't be scared to blow it up. I feel like no one knows themselves until they're in their late 20s, early 30s before they really find something that they're passionate about. Like I joke around my son all the time, like in a perfect world, right? Like if I could blink my eyes and have him grow into, what I think, but what I think is nothing. It's like, if I could do it all over again and I was passionate about it, which I would be an accountant, right? Like I look at my accountant and she's amazing. And I look at other accountants. I know a lot of accountants. I'm like, these guys really get their teeth kicked in like 3 months a year. And if they play their cards right, like they could pretty much be on vacation. Their phone's not ringing 24/7. But then, like, is that going to make him happy?
Sure.
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
Like he's honestly maybe a firefighter or something, right? Like I could
Yeah.
see him doing stuff like that. For me though, I went through those life, and I finally found something that I was like, wait, I get paid to do this?
Yeah,
Like,
I
joke
think that's
around
the
with
metric.
people.
That's the metric right there.
I get paid to do this.
When you find something that
Yep.
you're talking about it, those Sunday scaries, when you don't have that,
Yep.
then you're doing something that you actually like. Like I don't have that anymore. I'm not terrified to go to bed Sunday night because I'm afraid that I don't want to wake up on Monday to go to work because it's miserable. And that's what I thought in high school because actually this is a good point. In high school, I did not want to go to be an engineer because I hated so much getting up every single day to go sit at a desk in high school. It was miserable to me. I hated it. I wanted to move. I didn't like sitting still. I was like, I need to do something that is more, up and about something. I'm not sure. I was like, I kicked myself. I should have went to Vogue. I should have done something with a trade. I didn't. This is where I am. What am I going to do? So I didn't go to be an engineer. And then I went into being a firefighter and did that. And then I'm like, oh, well, you know what? This isn't really necessarily what I think I'm like super passionate about. And then when I found this, I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have that terrified feeling about going to bed on a Sunday because I have to go to work. I want to get to work. I'm excited to get to work because I love what I do. I'm not in a rush to go home. I mean, there's times where I am in a rush to go home, but I'm not I'm not dying to get out of here. I'm not watching the clock. The day goes by so fast. And I never thought in high school that because we kind of have a desk job, people would say, I mean, we're not doing anything physical here, but I
Clearly,
never thought.
look at this physique. I mean, I don't have a muscle on this body.
But in high school, this job, I would have been terrified to even try because of that.
Yeah.
And I think like getting up and talking to your people about that would be a good like story and a life lesson to kind of explain to them because high school like set me back, I feel like, because I wasn't super into it. And I think there's a lot of kids. Yeah, I think there's a lot of kids that are like that,
You have to.
Like I was a really hard worker. I would rather go work all day long, but high school just put like this really bad taste in my mouth about in some sort of a business desk job because I'm like, I don't want to wear a suit all day and I don't want to, sit at a desk all day and just be miserable. And you watch the shows and, you're just watching those cubicle guys and they're like watching the clock.
Yeah,
and they're
like
miserable.
2:45 is the times I didn't call it a day. Yeah,
how much time can we waste on the water cooler? It's like, it's not really like that, at least not here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's like at other places, but I can tell you it's not like that here. And I think a lot of people need to understand that.
I look at it this way. If I didn't have kids, I was just thinking about this when he was saying this. If I didn't have kids, I wouldn't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because I would probably end up here or at work or doing something on my laptop at home on Saturday and Sunday. I still bust it out, but I don't know if I'd know what day it is. Like, I don't sit there and I'm like, I can't wait for the weekend. Like, I don't remember the last time I'm like, can't wait for this weekend. It just needs to get here. Because, like, on Saturday and Sunday, I'm still okay to work. Like, if I needed to work, I have no problem jumping on and working. It's...
But
Two
it's that
years I
passion.
spent in retail,
Yeah, but that's
I was like, I got a
that's the
day off
passion.
on Thursday. It was like Friday the following week, the week before. I'm like, I can't wait for next
Yeah.
Thursday. It's like 8 days, 7 days away, and you're like just praying to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need that. It's that passion, and it's also like what you were both saying too. I think everybody, if you're thoughtful and can kind of get there, because it's tough, and everyone goes through peaks and valleys and ups and downs to get there. But to me, it's also like the notion of like choosing your arena, like what is your arena? And I love I did the commencement speech at Bishop Stang's graduation this last year, and I referenced this piece in that because I love it, and I think about this all the time. Teddy Roosevelt, man in the arena.
Yeah.
So that's huge to me, and has been incredibly influential because to me that's what it's all about. Because one, you're picking your arena, whatever it is, and knowing that if there was 14 people in here, everyone's going to pick their own thing, and that's amazing. That's what makes us a country, a society, right? Is everyone's doing their own thing, but then it's about we're just chatting about like try, like it's try, and like you should want to be there with sweat and dust in your face, and you fail and you fail and you fail, but you just keep getting back
You're the man
up
in the arena.
right? Yeah, that's
You're not
it.
the spectator.
You're not the spectator. It's
Don't worry
easy
about
to
what they think.
judge and to kind of cast opinions or assertions from the sidelines or the stands. But if you're in that fight, like whatever your fight is, whatever your arena is, I just think that's how you get to that place where you just you have that fire. You want to do it. You love to do it, and that's also where I think you brings out the best of you. Right, the best version of you, right? Because then, like, you're really using like your talents, your interests. You're bringing all of that to the table. Because even stuff like Craig, I mean, like something about you, like your amazing network and in your relationships, which wouldn't grow if you didn't deliver for people, right? But you do. And so your network grows and grows and grows, and Vernon, is like the master at this with his network,
Well, I
and
don't know,
which
sitting next to
like
you.
no, which
I know
I'm
you're
lucky
one
to
of
be
the
a
top
part
guys
of.
at Junior Achievement.
I'm
I see
lucky
these
to be.
Facebook.
I'm lucky to be a part of is like your networks, but it's also learning the value of things like that. And
Yeah.
like I would take a network in relationships that are tested and you delivered
nobody
on
teaches
more
you
than
that in high
anything,
school.
more than
Or
more than
probably
anything.
in college, I
Yeah.
would assume.
Like,
I mean,
I think the
never
most
went.
valuable thing in any business is your network,
Yeah,
right? And who you associate yourself with, right? I don't know the exact same, but it's like, hey, you want to be a millionaire? Hang out with 5 millionaires.
Yep.
Who you hang out with, who you associate with, who you look up to, who you take advice from. That's why,
That would be the biggest advice if I could go back to being 17, 18 years old coming out of high school is that exact thing is like, go find people that you actually want to be like and go hang out with them.
Yeah.
Because you get so
And
caught
learn.
in the weeds of who you're with. Like I remember when I didn't go to college. All my friends went to college. I felt like so left behind after. Like I didn't think about it until they all left and then they were all gone. I'm like, I don't even really have anybody to hang out with anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody to go play golf with. I don't have anything to do. So it's like, what am I going to do? It took me a little bit. I was in this weird transition where I didn't have my EMT yet. I was waiting to actually turn 18 to go get it. So I couldn't even get it right away. And then once I got it, I got like obsessed with work and fell into that because there was nothing else. But it's like, if I could have taken that and went in a different direction, I'm like, where could I be now? You don't realize that. And getting around the right people, if I never met you, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been at a different lender. Nobody was calling me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
wasn't getting recruited back then. But you get yourself around the right people and the opportunities open up if you put the hard work in. It's like those two things. The network and the hard work is
Yeah.
super important.
And
It
it's
is.
wild. I was reading something the other day, which I know it's hard for you to believe that I was reading something. It wasn't
It's
a
an audiobook.
podcast. It wasn't Mortgage Daddies episode 19. And
No, I already saw that one. I've been watching. Yeah,
our
no,
number
I wasn't-
one
yeah.
fan.
of the pod, friend of the pod.
It's it just talks about how important that network really is and what you get out of it and what you put into it. So, and it kind of hit me. Now I've gotten to the point, I think, like, as you mature and you age, you can look at somebody because you've already gone through it. You've been mentored. You've mentored people. I can now look at somebody 2 years into the mortgage business and be like, I already know exactly where that one's going to end up on year 3, 4, and 5, success-wise, drop-wise. Obviously, there's that tangible, like,
Sure.
hey, something could fly off the side of the rails here. But for the most part, I do a lot of coaching now, and I'm like, this person's going to hit 50 million next year. This one's going to hit 25 million. This one's going to struggle with these type of aspects. And it's good that they have somebody coaching them, mentoring them, because I think a lot of places, especially call office jobs or professional business jobs, there are no coaching. There's
Yeah.
no mentors. It's like, here's the playbook, go figure it out. Let me know how you make out, right? They don't ever get to open up the network. Like, how hard is it to break into that network? I mean, you run a nonprofit, you have to put yourself in a lot of different networks. It's hard to be put into a network, and I've been lucky and fortunate enough to be put into certain seats and different networks, and I joke around with Craig all the time. We have an investor. We do a couple of investors we do a lot of work with, and they invite us out to private events. And now you're meeting some of the best people in your industry or other industries nationwide.
Yeah.
It's almost like when they send you away to JAUSA.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I know you just came back from
it's the
Washington,
same,
D.C.
It's the same deal. Yeah. It was
Sitting in that room is like going to college for 2 years. You were there for a week.
It's a PhD, and whatever your whatever your thing is, a PhD. And so it's just with JUSA, was just in Washington D.C. We're meeting with a group of leaders nationally, doing some strategizing for impact in 2025. And then a couple weeks before that, I was in Colorado Springs, out at JUSA as well, with kind of like a leadership accelerator, coaching training program, that we have nationally. And before that, in Boston with folks too. So it's that, it is that in whatever your arena or your field, it is that network, in that networking. And the other thing is too, though, and Craig, I mean, you were kind of mentioning this too. I think it's that network, it's that hard work, but then also that becomes your name.
Yep.
Right. So to me, it's always like a notion of a name. And I will say this about Vern, because he's been one of my,
this is coming up.
he's been one of my closer friends and also like supporters, and like just has my back, always. And so like with Vern's name, right? Like if he says something to me, like it's just gold, because it's Vern said that, you know what I mean? Vern did this, Vern said that, and you build that, you build that. And so I think ultimately to me, it becomes like even having that pride of whatever your craft is in your name. And so like, for you, like when you send something, I see your name, there's a full, without even reading your message, meaning, right, there's just a fundamental expectation of what this is because it's coming from you. Right. And I actually remember you actually telling me that about Craig a million years ago. Like before I ever met you, like I remember everyone's like, oh, Craig, this guy's like total superstar, totally amazing. And he's going to be like dominating this. And this was like years ago. This was right when you both started this. So that to me is, I also every single day just try to think about like, what am I going to be putting my name on today? And what do I want that to mean? In a bunch of different ways. And so
I know we don't have that much time left, but I'm very curious because we had several of these questions that Wendy put together for us, and I do not know any of this. So I'm actually going to learn something here about Jeff.
I don't know what the questions are, so
this might be for somebody else. This could have been an old card that was left here. I don't think so. But what is your
I am looking right at Wendy as you're reading these, so we'll see,
What is your special connection to the Ronald McDonald House? Tell us about that.
So that is kind of in part just goes back to kind of like my history and kind of why I've chosen my arena. So I was born really premature. I had my last rites given to me. My lungs collapsed. Extremely premature. When I ultimately came home from women's and infants, which again, we're so lucky around here, right? One of the greatest maternity hospitals on the planet. So I was born there and then ultimately transferred to Fall River. When I came home from that hospital, I was like the smallest baby to ever go home. But at that time, back in 88. And so for me, that's kind of part of my story and notion, knowing that I've always, every day that I remember living, I've already had my last rites given to me. Yeah. Right. And knowing that, like everybody, my presence here to me is like a gift. And so how do you want to pay that forward? Yeah. Right. What do you want to do with that gift? Is it just for you? Is it meant to be, to do things bigger than your own aims and ambitions and things that you want to do? And so to me, Ronald McDonald House, all those kinds of organizations are really, it's why I'm involved with South Coast Health here locally, just really important to me because I know how fortunate I am that I was born here, that my story was only possible here. And so that always kind of is a driver for me and something that's just really important to me too.
That's awesome. Well, one more thing before we wrap this up is I'm going to give you a little promo. You don't know I'm going to make you do this, but give us the date, the location, how they can go on and support the Titan Challenge, because that's a big thing for me, obviously being one of the original people to go to the first one. how do they when is it? How do they become a supporter, a mentor that day to assist the kids?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's gonna be a really great day. So March 12th, 2025, we'll be at UMass Dartmouth. Wendy's alma mater. We'll be there on campus, and so we'll have over 250 high school students from all across the region. Anybody who wants to learn more about what we do at JA overall, wants to learn more about the Titan Challenge, you can sign up to be a volunteer mentor, coach that day. You can just fully get engaged with us, get our newsletters, get connected. Best place is our website. So www.jasouthernma.org is our website. That's kind of our one-stop shop, the best place to see what we have going on. But we'd love, we're looking to bring on new sponsors, new volunteers, get more folks engaged in this year's JA Titan Business Challenge. And so it's coming up fast, about 100 days or so. But March 12th at UMass Dartmouth. It'll be fun.
Email Jeff, get some sponsorships going on there. You get your name out there, get your business out there, all at the same time, helping the community, helping the kids.
No, it'll be fun. And thank you again. I do just want to be on the record here. I'm a longtime fan of the pod. I'm a friend of the pod. I am omnipresent on the pod's social media channels as a liker and a sharer. And so I am honored. Thank you both again, for having me on. And just thank you both again. I mean, for your friendship, your partnership, for everything that you do. I love this podcast. You guys are a great company. You do things the right way. You're so phenomenally involved in the community, including the reindeer run coming up on Thursday, which is, which is going to be awesome. And I love the podcast and the thought leadership, that you all have with this too. So,
well, we're growing Mortgage Daddy. So hopefully you can subscribe to our page on our Spotify channel, Mortgage Daddies.
Love it.
And soon to be coming on to Apple. So I'm going to put that out there into the world so Sarah can have an aneurysm on, pushing her to do more and keep getting better.
But I love it. You guys, it's straight to the moon with Mortgage Daddy. So
let's go.
This is great.
I appreciate it.
Thank you guys as always. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.